What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about an Axios article on Ubisoft. So this was something that was pretty interesting. It came across my Twitter feed, and I actually gave the entire article. I don't normally do this, with the Kotakus and IGNs of the world. I don't read their articles, let alone read them all the way through. And this article was pretty well done. It talked to 12 current/former employees at Ubisoft, and really the idea of it is inside Ubisoft's unprecedented exodus of developers. And that was kind of the basic, idea of it, is employees at Ubisoft say they've never seen a wave of departures like this past year's. And it's pretty interesting. I mean, they go through quite a few things. One of the things, too, to kind of counter it, right? Because there does seem to be a huge wave of people leaving and people just very unhappy with Ubisoft's situation. But you also see, overall across the board, they've actually added jobs. They've added, I believe, 2,600 jobs over the past year or so, but the normal average is closer to 4,500, so they're actually, it is a lot lower people that they've added, and you could attribute that to less people want to go there, or they've added people, but they've lost so many that the numbers, that's how they kind of all fall. But it's, honestly, the reason I want to make this video, guys, is because it's sad. It's sad. We all get a kick out of making fun of Ubisoft or making fun of EA or, a lot of gaming developers actually more in the last, 5 or so years. There's become a lot of pretty bad ones, and a lot of them are kind of falling apart, making bad, stupid decisions. And it sucks and it's sad, and it's especially, I think, glaringly sad when you read these. I do like these kind of stories where they go and they talk to these people. Now, you don't get the full picture. I mean, honestly, any of these articles that talk to these people, again, this is 12, sometimes, Kotaku will talk to 5 former employees, and they make it out that that's the entire picture. Again, it's not the entire picture. That's the strange thing. And even with this article, the Me Too stuff and the toxicity of Ubisoft, I mean, they mention it, but they even, from one of the people they interviewed, they said they don't believe it's the main reason anybody that they know have left. But yet again, maybe there are people that have left from that. So you don't get the full picture just by talking to 10 to 15 people, you know what I mean? But you can get a general sense, I guess, of, what's going on in general, right? We know that the Canadian studios, a lot of people were leaving any Canadian Ubisoft team because there's other, especially in the Montreal area, there's a lot of other studios that are opening up there that actually pay way more. One person even said triple. They left Ubisoft to make triple the money at another Montreal studio for just somebody else. And that's insane. And that prompted Ubisoft, obviously, to do raises to, I believe, all of their Canadian studios, but then that left everybody else in any studio that was in Canada wondering, well, are we going to get raises too? Because you gave raises to them. So, again, yes, we laugh, and ultimately, I don't even know if we laugh, honestly. When we make fun of EA and Ubisoft, we're not really laughing at them. We're not really, making fun of them, or at least we're not doing it just to do it, right? I think generally, yes, there's trolls and there's people that'll be mad always just to be mad, right? But that's a very small group, in my opinion, of people that don't even last very long, and they don't watch videos, so they don't participate that much online. What it really is, though, is we just want good products. I mean, ultimately, that's what it comes down to. They are in the business of making money. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's not BS, right? Anybody, not just Ubisoft, they're there to make money. They want our money, and that's fine. And we are here to be served. That's come across recently as some just satanic thing that you can't say. They're we're the customers, we deserve good products, we have the right to criticize or complain. Yeah, we do, actually, right? Because we pay. Now, you can always take that too far, and there are ways of taking it too far, but we give them the money. So I would argue when we've talked down to these companies, we just want good products. That's all we actually want. And the articles like this, another reason why I like them is you get to kind of see the more human side of it. You get to see more behind the scenes of how does it affect just random employee, X22, how does it affect that person, you know what I mean, with all, because it's just a random employee taken from, I believe they have over 20,000 people that work for Ubisoft worldwide, 20,000, so they're just picking number 960, right? And talking to them, and it's what kind of stories do you hear? and it doesn't sound good. I mean, overall, again, like the message from Ubisoft is like, yeah, we're continuing to add, positions and all this stuff, but in reality, they've lost, I believe they said they've lost like 13 of the top 50 creative heads of the studio just in the last, little while. So, and that's quite a big deal when you do that. There was one story of like a person at one team called another person at another and asked how to do something because everybody had left and nobody knew how to work on the system that they were working on. So they needed to, ask a different studio. So it's insane. It's insane how that happens. And, when we think of games, I don't really think we've thought of it recently, like in the last year or two, but I think it will be a thing we should bring up more going forward is like the workforce shortage. One thing that, I've talked about is if you go on like any gaming studio, any gaming studio's website, there's jobs. I mean, there's so many jobs available, and there's a lot of different reasons why people are or aren't taking jobs. You can even go politics, with that, and you can go other reasons. But like this is a slightly different thing even with Ubisoft, right? Where it's like this affects things. Like what if this delays Splinter Cell, the Splinter Cell remake, right? They want to make it so bad. What if they can't get all the people they need to get for it? Or what about Assassin's Creed? Like how long does it take them to work on the next Assassin's Creed when they, they're bleeding out people and they can't reproduce them. They can't get more people in to balance out the people that they're leaving, let alone continue to grow these teams. Ultimately, what it comes down to is making better decisions across the board, right? Being more just kind to each other, right? And yes, businesses, like you have to run a business. I'm not saying like everybody, there's, I don't know, there's different ways of talking about it. I don't want to get myself in too much trouble, but, just treat each other the way you want to be treated, right? If you work hard, you get raises, you move up in the management in the company. Like these are just simple things that are not that hard, I would argue, to implement, right? And you do it across the board. It's for literally anybody. And then, raises and certain, not even raises just to raise, but you got to be competitive. And if other people are stealing your talent, you need to be competitive back. You know what I mean? And so, and then obviously those are like behind the scenes things. And then there's the final thing of just making better games. One of the things one of the employees talked about, I think, as a reason why they left is I think they described it almost as like a culture of just the bare minimum. Like the bare minimum is fine. If that's what gets into the game and that's what ships, like that's fine. And they thought that wasn't enough for them. You know what I mean? That kind of felt like low. That's like, yeah, that's the final part of it, right? Like I think overall standards of the quality of Ubisoft games need to move higher because, I have good things to say about Assassin's Creed and other franchises of theirs, but when you just have game after game after game that comes out and just bad story after bad story and nothing is like spectacular, like, even the past Assassin's Creeds, like they've been good to some, right? But I would never say, I really don't think even the people that like it would go on to argue like it's one of the best open world games ever created. Like they're not pushing any boundaries. I don't think anybody has ever thought Ubisoft really over the past 10 or so years has pushed anything, far. I'd argue they did it with Assassin's Creed 2 and say Brotherhood. Those were a time, at least in Assassin's Creed's world, right, where I think they pushed the industry. They really, really did. And then they kind of got lazy and they kind of got formulaic, and that's what happens when you make games as often as Ubisoft has. So, again, a general point of this video is I don't like to be mean and criticize and all that stuff, but ultimately we want good products. I do it for literally any game or any movie out there. Like I will criticize and I'll point things out respectfully, and all we want is like good things. I want to enjoy your games, and I've enjoyed many games this year. This has been a great year for me saying how much I like different games, right? I've made many videos on that for those that think that I just hate everything. I don't. In fact, that's the biggest fake news I've ever heard in my life. I want things to be good. And again, this article that Axios did was a mix, right? Kind of showing you, there's big problems at Ubisoft and the standards need to improve, but also, well, here's how the behind the scenes stuff works. And it's sad. It's sad. I don't want it to happen, and I want it to change. I don't want Ubisoft to be the laughingstock of the industry, because we laugh, but in reality, there's a lot of bad stuff that happens, right? Or EA. You know what I mean? EA, I think they're doing really good outside of sports and outside of Battlefield. I think they are having like a renaissance, but with other things, they're not. Activision obviously is having a tough time. Take-Two is having a tough time. Like, it's not the greatest out there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of companies that are not doing the greatest things all of a sudden. And, you could argue movies have been doing it longer. I won't get into it. It's a longer thing in general, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up, or if you want me to do more of these kind of videos, definitely let me know in the comments as well. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you all on the next video.